Before learning the light theory, we'll first look at the questions which were asked in previous examinations. So, here I'm also including the question which was recently asked in Sociology Paper 1 of 2020. Now, most of the questions in this concept are asked from Pareto and his social equilibrium theory and the analysis of the circulation of elites and how it is valid for the modern industrial societies. Now, the question which was asked in 1980 again was repeated in 2019, except for the fact that the second part of the question was not asked. And in 2018, uh, they asked for the basic characteristics of elite as postulated by Pareto. In 2009, you have C.W. Mill's power elite theory, and this was a practical implication of this was asked in this year's exam. So we'll go through the power elite theories and then we'll understand how can we use them to solve the questions. Now, if you see the classical elite theory, these people are very critical of the democracy and socialism. These are mostly egalitarian ideas. I mean, when you understand the essence of the word elite, the thing which will become clear in your minds is that it is vouching for the rule of a few rather than rule of many. But the central notion of democracy and socialism is about egalitarian views. So what they think is that these feelings go against the human nature because human are being born different from each other and their psychological and sociological makeup is different from each other. They will say that because the human nature is inherently unequal, therefore elite rule is not undesirable. But if the power is in the hands of a wise or enlightened person, then it will be in effect good for the whole society. He referred the people here referred them as enlightened minority. They say that though at the onset some would believe that in a revolution is all about correcting the inequality and ill wills, but elite rule is even inevitable during the social revolution because you need somebody to head the organization which is leading the a revolution. And at times we have seen that the aftermath of any revolution is the leaders coming ahead as the one who have actually ruled. Now in the society, one rule they have given is iron rule of oligarchy. Now what is oligarchy? You have I have told you they are critical of democracy and socialism. Okay, so they believe that even the democracy or a direct democracy is also not democracy because there will always be someone who will be making the rules, and the one who makes the rules will have the power to vary it. And this in effect runs the fifth point runs alongside the first point. Okay, now here the sociologists which are to be quoted are uh, now Mills has written power elite theories. Now we'll look at it in detail, but here you will see that he says that there are three levels. One is business, political and military. They have interconnectedness among each other. I mean, you can see it working in the modern day society also, because people are marrying into these families, right? Wilfred Pareto says that there are either the foxes or the lions. Now, lions are the one who rule by strength, but foxes are the ones who use their minds. And there will be rotation of the rule between these. Mosca says that in all society, two classes appear. In Mosca's thesis, ruling and the ruled are the two classes which majorly appear. Now, the iron rule of oligarchy concept was given by Roberto Michaels, which says that even the democratic organization in effect are not democratic. I told you how, है ना? John Bumham, he argued that there is a managerial class. I mean, you can look at its manifestation after industrial revolution. So, because of their scientific and technical know-how, they are coming in topmost positions. You can look at the lateral entry scheme recently. Cherokee. He says that what keeps the contract going are not two links but three links. For example, Congress, industry, and military, referring to almost the similar thesis of Mills. And it is to see that these, even Mills as well as Jaraki, they refer to how things are going on in the US. Though it can have offshoots in other democracies also, but you can just see the links. Now, even Phillips and Moore have represented theses in America, so you can just read through it. It is almost similar what I have explained just now. Now we'll see how power elite theories. What are power elite theories? Now, when they explain elite rule, they have a hope that it will change. These three positions were considered by Mills and Jarecki both, and they say that though they have a little bit of different background, or they are born different, but they have similar kind of ideology which provides a common base. So here you should not use this word, a common base. Now, revolving door, I mean, there are three dimensions, right? So there are three dimensions: business and military and politics. So they say that the doors which are between those are revolving. The business leaders can become politicians. Yeah, yes, Trump. Okay. So now this is more applicable in the context of America, which is there are basically two parties, Democrats and mm, now power elite, they say that because they have a hope of changing it, so they'll say that it is not inevitable, but the political structures and economic theories, they make them so. So whenever you discuss about the elite theories, first you start with classical elite theories, take some sociologist names, and then you give a thesis on power elite theories. Then you evaluate both of these. So when you start evaluating both, you will see that classical elite theory was very much simplistic, because they just said iron rule of oligarchy, but what are the different types of oligarchs? They never referred to them. Now, they also didn't give any criteria or any measure of how to quantify the elites, and they just assume that there are elites as well as the masses, and don't go into the specific thing about them. Now, when you go through the power elite theories, uh, what are the evidences of proving Mill's theory to be right? You can't apply it to different countries. Their religion is also a key element, religious leaders. Marxist, even you can just take their name and you can just criticize them. So now, after having understood the general dimensions of elite theory, we look at the specific theses. Now, in effect, what elite means is those who will excel, right? So they excel. When Marx was considering only economic structure to be important, they presented a different thesis. Now, Marxists they believe that the end of the capitalism lies in the creation of a classless society. They say that egalitarian structure will only be realized when the classes in effect fade. But here in classical elite theory, they don't dwell upon this thing, but they say that elite rule is inevitable. Now, there are two propounders, Wilfred Pareto and G. Mosca. They both believe that personal qualities are basis of power. Now, you would have seen the concept of charismatic authority when I was just explaining you the difference between coercion and authority. Now, in effect, it challenges the ideological base of Marxism. Now, here we'll look at and differentiate between the concept as given by Pareto and Mosca. Now, we'll uh, study it using a tabulated approach. So, Wilfred Pareto uh, uses bat analogy, while uh, G. Mosca, in his book The Ruling Class 1939, believed that minority rule is inevitable. And the book, as propounded by Wilfred Pareto, is Mind and Society 1935. So you should quote these books. These are very important books. Mind and Society 1935, Wilfred Pareto. The Ruling Class 1939 by G. Mosca. He says that their personal abilities differ between the ruling and the ruled, and the situation becomes inevitable even in communism. This is in contrast to what Marx believed. He says that whenever the masses will be polarized into a single class, there will be affluent laborers who will hold dominant positions. Now, you can also look at the Machiavelli thesis, who identifies two types of governing elites, lions and foxes. So, foxes are the cunning ones, while lions are the strengths or the stronger class. Rule only those can rule who have rational capabilities in them, while the masses are devoid of those abilities, but due to crafty nature, they rule over the masses. Social change means that the elites are only replaced. One set of elites are replaced with another set of elites. You can look at the anti-corruption movement, and the rise of Aam Aadmi Party. Now, lions and foxes have a working relationship, where foxes are employed by the lions, and foxes eventually become powerful, like Farooq Seer's tenure in Mughal Empire. Eventually, foxes, the Ali brothers, foxes replace them, and they become so much stronger that they even can develop their own principalities. Chahalgani system is one of the example. Even the modern democracies are another form of elite dominations. Now, here, while I was writing, the elections in Syria and Egypt were going on. So, I drew the example out of them. Now, they are against democracy, but in effect, not all democracies are same. So, this can be used as a thesis while criticizing those. Now, we'll look at the theory of G. Mosca. Now, already I have told you the book is The Ruling Class 1939. He also says that the people have varying qualities. Democracy, in a sense, is a elite rule. But he didn't believe that the qualities of elite remain the same. I mean, just look at it. Pareto says lion remains lions, foxes remain foxes. So there is a change in rule between them. But here he says a lion may become fox or a fox may become lion. And even a person who is not neither one of two can become one of them. So in effect, though he says that democracy is also elite rule, but he says that there is an interchange among the positions. Though here in the Wilfred Pareto's thesis, we saw that masses have lack of rational abilities, but in this he says that they are passive. I mean, they he does not believe that they are like completely lost people. They have it in them, but they are just passive. It might be due to different reasons. Elites can be drawn in a democracy from wider social background. So this is it. This statement can be used in the exam when you are criticizing democracy. He says that democracy can be for the people, of the people, but not by the people. Now we look at the ruling class. So every political organized society is characterized by organized minority. What is the organized minority? It is there is a ruling class that rules and the majority which is being ruled. So you can just use this concept. um, he also further says that the members of ruling class regularly have some attribute that is highly esteemed. And see, why anybody will try to become a ruling class in itself is because that position or that status which comes is highly esteemed and influential. And this he says that this is the concept of circulation of elites, where one group just replaces another while the position is same. So here we have just gone through the classical theory. Now we'll go to the elite theory propounded by C.W. Mills, and this will in effect conclude our discussion on power elite theories. So C.W. Mills. Now we have gone through 1935 book, 1939 book, uh, and by Wilfred Pareto and G. Mosca. Now I'll go through the C.W. Mills book. Now this book is The Power Elite 1956. Now, in effect, both Wilfred Pareto and G. Mosca considered elite rule to be inevitable, but C.W. Mills doesn't believe it. He says and gives a specific theory to USA that this is a recent phenomena. This diagram is to be memorized. You can just have a look at it, pause my video, have a look at it, you will understand it. He says that power among elites is institutionalized and not psychological. Thus, the notion of unequal qualities is rejected by him. He says institutions. Now, when G. Mosca and Pareto were referring to the power, they were saying that power is concentrated in the individual. But here it is saying the power is in the institutions. Now, the top, those who come at the top, see, the power will be institutional only, but it will be the exercise by the person who will be at the top of the institution. These top positions will be referred as command positions. These will be the organizations where there will be these command positions. Now, their interest, why organizations will prefer those, because there will be certain common interest. These common interests will be the coincidence of economic, political, and military power. They might also have similar social background. Like when there was a study conducted, and they found that almost all of the leaders belong to certain, they studied in a certain similar institution. Even there is a revolving door and member self recruitment. They will always prefer those among their own group. Now, if you look at the decision to go to Second World War or Vietnam War, this thesis will prove absolutely right, because the power elite have unprecedented power but little accountability. Even Hunter in Community Power Structure says that power rests with a small decision making body dominated by business class. Now, I'll say that these things more apply more to the US, but still you will see the parallels when you compare it to our own country. Now, if I start criticizing power elite theories, you will first look at the pluralistic thesis of power. Now, Robert Dahl says in Who Governs 1961 that power is dispersed in the society and only circumstantial evidence exists to Mill's theory. Now, where did he base his study? It was in New Haven, Connecticut. He found that though this city was an illicit city earlier, but over time different groups became active in different areas, and in those different areas that there were competing groups, and after there were competing groups, the policy process was guided by the different interests. So, but if you see his assumption say that people have consciousness and they know their interest, and they even collectively organize to further their interest, and they have equal access to political institutions, and these government will always listen to them because they have certain kind of numbers, right? And this is how democracy works. This is a very general criticism that Mill's perspective on American society alone, you can just like use it. Now, earlier also you have seen it, the managerial revolution. You have to take the name. I just taught you earlier. So rise of specialists have changed the situation, and even between different ruling systems there is differences. There is no such barometer which can measure the qualities of elites. Now, in T.B. Baltimore's book Elite and Society, he says that in industrial and developing world, elites are different, and elite circulation might not even be there. Though we are moving toward egalitarianism, multiple elites present in developing world. Managerial revolution. So you got the answer which I was seeking, and you can see this altruistic motives do exist. Then you can also draw your thesis from Westergaard and Ressler that whoever has maximum rewards holds maximum power. Now you will, while you were understanding these three persons and the thesis given by them, you would have noticed that we moved from the individual perspective to the group perspective. Now, you can try these questions that discuss the importance of power elite in democracy. So this question was asked in 2016. Power elite in society and emergence of new elite in power structure. This was asked in 2005, and directly the power elite was. So I have just given a table. You can just go through it. It is much of what I have already told you. You can pause the video here, and if you want to further study, you can just go through it. And this is the practical thing. But if you want to remember certain extra point, then you do uh, remember this line that the people who own the country ought to govern it. The people who own the country ought to govern it. So it is much that the positions in our government, like the president of India, the basic conditions are that he should be a citizen of India, and rule in its name. So this was it. This was the elite theories. In the next lecture, we'll solve the questions related to pluralistic thesis of power.